G'day everyone, and welcome to my shop. Today we're going to turn this little natural edge bowl straight from a log. Now please note, this is not an instructional video, it is for entertainment purposes only. Your safety is your responsibility. Now let's get started. So here we are outside with the log. It's a nice day out here in Manitoba. We got minus 10 Celsius or 14 Fahrenheit, which is where sweater weather begins here in Canada. So we're going to take a section out of this log and try to get as few knots or defects in it as possible. So we're going to cut a disc off the end and cut our good section out of here. Chainsaw's already warmed up, so let's get started. So now we have our log section, but the log contains a pith right here, and we've got to eliminate that. On a larger log, I'd probably make two separate cuts and save the piece of wood in here and here. But on a smaller log like this, I'll probably just cut straight through with one slice, and I'll get a little bit more wood for holding on the tendon. So let's cut her in half with the chainsaw. So now we have two bowl blanks from that one log. We've cut through the pith and we're ready to take it to the lathe. Let's take it inside. Okay, we're back in the shop with our bowl blank, and what I've done here is I've measured the center of the blank and drilled out a 1-inch hole using a simple spade bit, and this will give us some solid wood below the bark to bite into with our drive center. Now as I line this up on the lathe, I have to make sure these 2 points and these 2 points are similar in height so that the bowl is balanced in the end product. So I'm going to put it into the drive center first, bring up the tailstock, and I can lock her down, put a little bit of pressure, and make sure that it's even using my thumb as a guide on the tops, which looks good, and I'll sight straight down the blank at an object behind me, and both are aiming at the same place, so it's actually already centered. We're going to crank her down real tight, lock the headstock down, and twist so that those teeth of that drive center get nice and deep into the wood so that it's safe. This ain't going nowhere after we get it down nice and tight. There. Tighten down, everything is tightened. Now it's ready to start turning. So what we're going to do is set the distance of our tool rest and we can get to work. And I'm using my face shield. I've got the lathe turned down to only 400 RPM right now until we get this blank balanced out a little bit. I'm going to use a gouge with a very swept back grind to get the roughing done because it's quite efficient at removing stock. So here we go. RPM set at about 650 RPM so far. Now we're going to create the tenon with a slightly smaller tool, and we're going to refine the shape as well. Now that we have it mostly shaped out, I'm going to go and sharpen the tool one more time before we give her one last nice clean cut. Now I'm going to go back to the swept back grind, and I'm going to do a real light shear scraping on the outside at a high angle. This will help to sever up any little bit of bumps and smooth out the surface and leave no torn grain. Not like there's any to begin with. See the shavings? Last thing to do is just to clean up the tenon so that the bottom of the tenon will not bottom out in the jaws. This has to bottom out on this surface while being clamped on that surface. Now the bowl's ready to be placed in the chuck. Okay, we've got her in the chuck now. It's well balanced, so we can get her up to about 1200 RPM. So make efficient cutting. We're ready to start hollowing. Going to start in from the outside and cut inwards. Now I'm going to start getting an even wall thickness from the very top of the bar till almost near the bottom of the bowl. So we have to start setting that now. The bowl will warp as we go in as it loses structure. I'm going to switch to a bigger bottom feeder bowl gouge so I get a little bit more support with the tool over the hanging so much. And I just sharpened up the bottom feeder gouge so we can give one nice last clean cut in the bottom. That way we'll leave no ridges or torn grain down there. There we go. And that's the roughed out shape of the bowl. We're going to leave the tenon on to keep drying so I can rechuck it later for sanding. So there's the finished bowl. We're able to leave it with no torn grain on the inside or out. It came out quite balanced, point to point, and it's got a nice even wall thickness throughout. Now, I'll be able to pack it away into its own shavings for about 6 months to a year, and that'll allow it to slowly dry and reduce any chance of cracking. After that, I can go ahead and sand it and throw the finish on it. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like and share it around, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos in the future. Thank you very much. You have a great day now.